Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
Right, so I guess we better talk about the Oscars. Are we happy with the winners? Do we care?
Highlights for me were Jonathan Glazer's speech, Godzilla winning the Oscar, obviously.
What did Jonathan Glazer say?
You will go on YouTube and you should find out for yourself.
You know, I just knew Godzilla won and everyone else won was predictable, and I don't think much else happened apart from Al Pacino fucking it up.
Oh, Al Pacino, man.
But he didn't fuck it up.
He didn't fuck it up, he just did it fun.
But
It was
the producers
so
told him.
downplayed.
It was. I'd be disappointed if I was being given an Oscar and if I was in contention for Best Picture and I think, oh, Al Pacino's going to read my film out, and then he doesn't even read the film out. That would disappoint me. Godzilla winning was the main thing. But also the iconic thing is going to be Ryan Gosling's I'm Just Ken performance. That was
Yeah, that was
quite
wonderful.
something. Shows there's still a little magic there.
Best thing out of Barbie.
The only thing I've seen from that is Scorsese looking really happy. And then people compare it to when Eminem performed there and he looked really miserable.
I know. Well, you haven't seen Ryan Gosling's performance at the Oscars, no?
No, I literally haven't watched any of it. I just saw who won and that was it.
How have you not watched that, though?
Very homoerotic.
Yeah, very. Slash was
Nice.
there. Slash was there performing. Did you notice the shirts that Slash was wearing?
No.
He was wearing a t-shirt with a quote from the film The Witch
Oh, shit.
about,
Robert
what's the
Eggers
name
one?
of the goat? Yeah.
Oh,
And it's a quote about the goat.
Black.
Black something, whatever his name was.
Oh,
whatever the
that's
goat's
gonna
name
bug
was
me.
in it. Should we do it without Google? No, let's do it.
Oh, shit, man.
Black Philip.
Philip.
Yeah.
I would never have
And,
got Philip. I would never have got that out of my head.
Weird. But he was wearing a shirt of that. And it
What?
said wouldst thou like to live deliciously, and it was Black Phillip.
I mean, maybe he's just trying to shine a light on a little bit of a cult film that didn't get Oscar bait.
Shouldn't have got Oscar baited.
No, it's not. It's not that great.
No, it ain't. It's the worst Robert Eggers film, I would dare say.
What ones did he do? He did all the Lighthouse, was it?
He did Lighthouse.
Yeah.
He did.
It would be his worst one. Yeah, I think.
Did Northman. He's got Nosferatu coming up.
Very excited for that.
Yeah, that should be pretty good. I think he did one more. Can't remember what it was.
Are you sure? I think that's it.
Maybe it is. But
Unless
as
you've
always, the
done a little
Oscars
small.
is just... It's wasted on us, really, because we're kind of intrigued, but half the time...
It happens, and we're like, eh.
You go on the BBC News, you read the list of winners, and then you go, okay, move on.
And I mean, like, I haven't seen Oppenheimer, right? I'm sure it is very deserving, but it's also just very boring, isn't it? When it's like just a clear sweep like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's
It
no
goes to-
surprises at all. Like, you thought,
No.
Lily Gladstone might have beaten Emma Stone, and she didn't. And it's like, nothing like that happened. It was the same awards that everyone else got given throughout the whole run at BAFTA and SAG and all that kind of stuff.
I would have liked to see Lily Gladstone win it, but
Yeah.
same old white America.
I think that I haven't seen Poor Things, so I couldn't compare it. Adam, how
I would
you
say, I would probably say Emma Stone's is better. Yeah, I think she probably is worthy of it. Like, If it was the other way around, you'd be like, oh no, Lily Gladstone would 100% deserve
But
it.
when the Oscars is just like a little political thing where people just get Oscars just for the sake of being an actor that's never got an Oscar before, you might as well give it to people who feel like they deserve it more than other people.
Yeah, you could make a statement, right? If there's not much between them, you could go, oh, hang on, maybe given all the discourse, we should probably give it to the Native American.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
But
all
again,
shit.
it's like they're completely different performances. One of them's very like, understated and very good, but then the Emma Stone's is you can overact in it, and that helps people stand out in the film.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
watch
well.
Poor Things. It's now on Disney, I think, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah,
You watch it?
I don't have the inclination yet because I'm playing real big catch up on foreign films. I'm like 10 foreign films in the hole. I need to watch 10 foreign films before I could watch another English language.
Oh well.
I think 75% is too high, man. You should have gone 50. 50-50 is a nice...
50's too easy. It needs to be a challenge.
It's become too much of a challenge, I think.
No, it's because I went
doing it,
early.
Ben. Keep doing it.
I am going to. This guy is trying to put me down.
Yeah, but then you're just saying it like you're not enjoying it. You're sounding like you're doing it for now. I've got to do it. It's like...
I know what you mean. However, there is literally no English language film right now that's like, oh damn, I can't watch that because I'm not that fussed about Poor Things. I really don't care.
Well, I'm going to annoy you by picking an English language film for...
I know you are. Of course you're not going to pick a foreign language film. I'm going to continue to annoy you all year and only pick foreign language.
I don't mind. You pick them all you want.
I don't mind.
Paul's favourite moment at the Oscars must surely have been the Batman exchange.
It was fine, wasn't it? The only thing is that it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's talking to Michael Keaton. It's like, well, it was actually George Clooney.
I know, exactly.
Get it right.
I know. But I like that he said son of a bitch twice. Because I'm pretty sure people don't normally swear at the Oscars.
It was good. It was good.
It was good.
Anyway, should we move on to what we're actually doing today?
We should. We should also, before we do that, acknowledge, not apologise, but acknowledge the fact that we have been really slow with episodes this year for various reasons. I wouldn't have said anything, but I just listened to Movie Drone this morning and they pointed it out. So people are noticing. So
They're noticing.
We did
They
do
are
a
noticing.
special one, put it out there. We did a special one that didn't get released here because...
Well, we can't talk about that yet because people don't know about it.
Well, you'll find out then. But
Only the
we haven't-
patrons know.
We haven't been completely hiding away for a month. We have done stuff.
Yeah. But we have there's been stuff going on and there is stuff coming up, which is meant that we're all pretty much very out of action. We're going to be out of action after that. We're going to do probably one more film for 96 and then we're going to be out of action for a few more weeks, mainly because of work, but also other things. But what normal service should hopefully resume end of April? No.
Yeah. And
Yeah, about then.
About then.
We'll be able to work it out by then.
Yeah.
If not, we'll hand the podcast over to 3 people who just want to talk on it.
Yeah, we could do that thing, like when people do the Twitter handle takeover, we could just hand the reins to three of our patrons, three of our listeners.
I just think we just stop 3 random people on the street and just...
They don't even care about film.
Yeah. Just go, do you want to talk on that? They just talk about something else.
Get our mums to do it. Remember we spoke about getting our mums on an episode?
That would be fun.
We were talking about that in our first year and we've not done it.
Would it be just the mums, or would it be us and the mums?
Yeah, it couldn't just be the mums. They'd be too embarrassed. They wouldn't know what the hell they were doing. It would be really weird. If we were with our mums, it would be ridiculous. People would listen to that, right? If you were like, here's the mum
think so.
edition, people would love that. Everyone would want to listen to that.
The mum edition.
But the film would have to be something like a Serbian film in order to make it interesting.
Not Mamma Mia.
No. Maybe for Mother's Day next year we could arrange
We could
it.
do the film Mama. It has to be mum related. Or the mummy.
Could do Mother.
Or the mummy.
Yeah. Any of these would work.
Or a Serbian film, yeah.
Yeah. Also, let's put it in the bank for next year's Mother's Day, shall we?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. We have to hold ourselves to that now.
Yep. We better. Just let our mums know. Book it in with your mums.
Exactly.
I feel very protective of my mum. I'm not sure I want to subject her to it. My poor sweet mum wouldn't know what she was getting herself in for.
I know. Throw her in the deep end.
Couldn't do it to her. I couldn't.
He's rolling back on it now.
I am.
Right, everyone, let's get back on track. We are doing a film today. We are doing Thesis from 1996. It is my choice. But before that, let's just plug the Patreon. We got a Patreon at www.patreon.com/filmbusters where you can get exclusive episodes. You can come on the show. You can just have a nice little chat with us over there. It's pretty beautiful.
Yes.
The last episode we did on the Patreon was our monthly roundup, which we do every month, which is pretty special. We talk about our top films and our bottom worst film of the month, each of us. And yes, if you like that kind of thing, you should head over there. It's fun, isn't it, boys?
It is fun.
Right, let's go on to speaking about Thesis and do the staple of every episode, which is the quiz. If you don't know what it is, I ask Ben and Adam a question or two about the film we're doing today. The scores so far are 3 for me, 1 for Adam, and 8 for Ben. If they get the questions right, they get the points. If they get the questions wrong, I get the points. But we need to address something.
Right, do we?
We had a little quiz on an episode we're featuring on, where
That's true.
We got given a massive quiz. I'm not going to say what it is because we don't want to spoil where we're going to be featuring. But it shook up the scores a little bit. So are we including those scores?
Maybe after the episode airs. We'll add them to this.
Okay.
After that episode is released into the wild.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
Okay.
So, I've got 2 questions for you today, but I kind of want to address the room because there has been a little gap since me and Adam watched this film. So
That's
I'm
true.
wondering, do you want me to give you 2 questions about the film or 2 questions about the film industry in general?
One of each.
One of each. Okay, I can give you one of each. Okay. So let's go with the thesis question first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask you the other question just see if you can get it afterwards, but I'm going to go for this one because it feels like a more vague question. So if you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, you didn't. You could probably guess it if you didn't see it. So we go to Chemma's house. Chemma is the film student. He takes us to his room where he watches his extreme films.
Yes.
Which legendary film creature is posted on the back of the door that dominates the shot for a brief moment before they walk in?
I don't know.
Xenomorph.
Yes, Adam! Well done!
Yes!
And now I remember. Now that
I
you've
had a
said that, I
feeling it was
remember.
going to be like that. It was either that or Predator. That's what I had in my head.
Oh, Adam, well done.
No, who would have expected that?
No, shit.
I didn't even just say Alien.
That's well done. Well done.
Well done. Do you want the film history question or do you want the thesis question now?
Nah, let's do the film one. I like mixing it up.
Okay, let's do the film industry question. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Which film won Best Sound at the Oscars this year?
Zone of Interest.
Oh, Adam, you did it again.
Is it?
Is it right?
Yes!
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
You know, the only reason I said that is because I was watching something on Sunday night before the Oscars went on and they were talking about stuff and someone said how Zone of Interest, the sound in it is incredible. And it's like the opposite way to like, I know something like June, it's like the silence in it and all of that.
Wait, so the guy who was like, "Oh, I didn't know nothing about the Oscars," got the Oscars question, and the guy who was like, "I watched Thesis ages ago, I won't know anything about it," got the Thesis question.
He's a liar.
These are
He is a
both
liar.
sensible
He is a liar.
guesses.
Wow, well done, Adam. When was the last time you took both points?
I know, probably when I was hosting it.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
And I made a weird
The one where
question
you're
that none of
asking
you...
about planets in the galaxy.
Yes. Hey, well done. Well, Paul, you may as well give us that other thesis question just to see what we would have got.
Okay, so is this going to be included or not?
If I get it, it won't be included. But if Adam gets it, he can have a point.
Oh,
and if neither of us gets it, you can have a point.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the name of Angela's thesis?
Oh, mate. It's
No
too
idea.
long, isn't it?
It's not long.
It's
It's
not
2
long.
words.
Does she ever say it out loud, or do you just see...
Yeah, she says it out loud multiple times.
Extreme violence.
You got half. You got one of the words.
I think it's like cinematic violence or something like that.
No.
What is it?
Audio-visual violence.
Christ. I forgot. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There you go.
You quit while
I don't need the fucking point for that question. Don't worry about
Take it. You may as well have it.
Okay, thanks.
There you go. You guys are far behind, so I threw you a bone on this episode.
Wonderful stuff. Well, there you go. 2 for Adam. So Adam's on 3, and I'm on 4,
Yeah.
and Ben is on 8.
Oh,
Halfway
there. You go. Interesting
There you go.
again.
I like that.
There
We're
you
back
go.
in it.
Right, should we move on to
Boys.
speaking about Thesis today?
Let's hear all about it.
Right, everyone, we are doing Thesis from 1996 by Alejandro Amenabar. I was going to say Amenadar. I always want to go to the D for some reason. Amenabar.
Amenabar.
This is-
Alejandro Amenabar.
Amenabar. This is a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen the film, we're going to spoil it terribly for you, so you might want to go watch it first. If you can do it, because it's quite difficult to do it if you don't have an Apple product, apparently.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, let me tell you guys up front who may be struggling. So, I don't have an iPhone. Paul and Adam have an iPhone, so this was quite easy for them. But as someone who has Apple TV on the Fire Stick, but if you don't have an iPhone, then you try and purchase it on Apple TV on the Fire Stick. It says how to watch, you must purchase it on iTunes. So, I booted up my Mac, and there is no iTunes app on the Mac. There is only the Apple TV app, so you go in Apple TV and you purchase it in there, and then you can watch it. However, if you do not have a Mac or an iPhone, I don't know how you would watch this film.
I think you'd be able to get Apple TV on a PC.
I did it through my PlayStation. I didn't need to sign in or anything. I just put it on my PlayStation, went on the Apple TV, and rented it through my PlayStation account.
I don't understand how you do that though.
How can you just did it. It just said, "Do you want to purchase message?" And you just pick via PlayStation Store.
So why, whenever I click on Apple TV, does it on how to watch it is like you have to purchase it elsewhere?
I think it's a Fire Stick thing for some reason.
But PlayStation isn't. Oh, maybe. Okay. Well, try that, listeners.
Yeah, we hope you watched it anyway, listeners. Otherwise, just let us spoil it for you. If
It
that's
was a
your
long
kind of
old
thing.
palaver. These boys watched it weeks ago. I had to postpone this episode, and then I almost thought, fuck, I ain't even going to be able to watch the film because it's so bloody impossible. It's one of the few films that you can't pay to rent on Amazon as well.
I know. I think Apple TV is just difficult in general. I think Apple is just such a locked-in thing where they don't like sharing with anything.
Yeah, they're cheeky.
Yeah, so...
They're cheeky monkeys.
Anyway, we watched it. So if you want to watch it, go watch it. Otherwise, we'll spoil it for you. That's it. There's no people who have been in films or directed films that we've done before. So it's a clean slate. We need to watch more Spanish films, apparently.
Yeah, clearly.
So there we go. Adam, do you want to do the plot description of this film?
Yeah, this is about a lady who's doing a thesis, or thesis, or whatever you want to call it, she's doing it on violence in films, and she finds a film that actually killed her professor or her lecturer or whatever he was called, and she goes around watching it with this other weird guy who likes scary films, and he tells her about it, and then she writes a thesis.
Don't be calling him weird, mate.
I don't know. She writes a thesis. Well, he had like a dungeon where he just watched porno violence films. I think that's kind of a bit.
Bosco is weird. Bosco's the weird one, mate, I would say.
Yes.
He is. I would not want to be friends with Bosco. I'd want to be friends with Kemmer. I would not want to be friends with Bosco.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it was porn dungeon. It was weird.
Hey, back in the late 90s, early noughties, everyone had a mini, not dungeon, but everyone had a stash like that.
Yeah, but they weren't all of like fucking porn violence films.
Mate, you were 5. You never would have got your hands on that stuff.
True.
You don't understand what the glory days were like before the internet came along, and it was all there. The internet came and took all the magic away.
Your magic.
Anyway, thanks for that. Ben, have you got anything about this film?
Well, it's very. Do you know? I don't know if you boys have tried to look into it. It's very hard to find a lot of information out about this film, which kind of goes hand in hand with the film itself in a way, and the content of the film, but what I do know is it was the directorial debut of Alejandro Amenabar, who's probably better known to audiences for Nicole Kidman in The Others and The Sea Inside, which I think is the only other film by him I've seen with Javier Bardem. Very good. Film stars Ana Torrent, Feli Martinez, and Eduardo Noriega. I like that name. Noriega. It won 7 Goya Awards, which is the Spanish equivalent of the Oscars.
Beauty.
Including Best Film, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Director. Its budget was 116 million pesetas. Now, do you know what that would translate to in pounds nowadays?
I don't even know.
Did you boys ever go on holiday and use the peseta?
No, I went to Spain after it was... My granddad... Well, first I went to Spain was when my granddad moved there, which was like 2004. So I don't know if it was still around then or not.
So you don't know about the nice little 25 peseta coin that had a hole in the middle?
Yeah, I've got one of them somewhere.
You shouldn't be allowed it. If you never used it as tender, you shouldn't be allowed it. Give that to me.
We've definitely spoken about this before.
Yeah.
That coin.
Anyway,
on this podcast.
It's about £600,000. So it's still quite a small budget.
Okay.
And he wrote, Amenabar wrote most of the film while still studying film himself at the very university which they use as the location.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's all I've got on it. There isn't a lot out there.
Well, I like that. It's nice.
It keeps it mysterious.
Yeah, definitely. We like a bit mysterious, don't we?
We do.
So we all decided we're going to go into this film background blind. We didn't know anything about it. It was my choice. And I think I'm just going to go first. And then we'll have Adam. And then we'll have Ben. We'll do film busters order.
Okay.
So I think this film could have been greater than what we ended up with. But regardless of that, I think it was... I very much enjoyed it. It was good. It was a delight, as we said, for starters, to be wrapped up in this film school setting and among the posters of horror icons and extreme cinema, especially when that was what I was seeking out in film school, all this very extreme stuff, because I started horror films at such a young age. I couldn't find anything that really shocked me, so I wanted to find the stuff that would go beyond that and truly shock me more than anything else. And finding out this film was an unexpected stumble into a snuff film mystery. It was a pretty cool and great surprise. I enjoyed it and thought it was quite a clever thing as well, that it was so blasé when they approached the everyday extreme cinema at the beginning, just showing us full on unflinching torture scenes, and really it just wasn't really that horrendous. It was pretty tame, if anything. But then the trick of holding back the shots of the actual snuff film we found, and leaning into the screams and the horror of it all, and took what's theoretically just a fake torture scene and made it skin crawling and horrible, turning down the contrast so you couldn't see it, and it's it created this kind of ambience of this horror, which was great. And then when we come to the actual mystery, I was very much enjoying it, even with the eventual reveal of Bosco and that great moment of slowly panning round him with the camera, and I was yeah, it was great. I was hooked. But it was around the time when Bosco started being interviewed and being all creepy, it kind of started to lose the magic a bit, and they had I felt like they played their hand, and now it felt like it was just out in the open, and from then on it was it was going to be pretty predictable, and it kind of was. They just went out their way to create an extremely messy back end with loads of silly misleads and unnecessary red herrings, where we pretty much just had our answer halfway through the film. It was Bosco. That was the answer, and yeah, and that isn't to say I didn't have an enjoyable time. I still really did enjoy it, but that's what I left with at the end of the film, and that's my first impressions.
Very good.
Nice. Yeah, I must say I very much enjoyed the whole setup of this film. I very much enjoyed like you said, the looking into it and think about it, because I don't really know, it's not really my thing to watch. I was kind of probably coming into it more from her angle than the other guy's angle. like people who know it and all this kind of stuff. He's like, look at this, look at this. But I did think it got, I don't know, it felt like it was, I like the idea of like the film being whatever happened, but it did, I feel like it just lent on then it just kind of went down the route of a normal horror film a little bit, like your screams, like you said, Paul, all about who's the killer, not the killer, who made this film, all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like that's kind of what made it special by doing that. I mean, I guess at the time when it was filmed, those films weren't around as much, so maybe it's one of the first ones to do it in that way, but I don't know. It was one of those films that maybe if you watched it at the time, I'd loved it a lot more.
That's a kind of a good point, yeah.
Is this come out before Scream?
96. I mean, the first Scream was probably around.
Both came out at the same time. 96.
Yeah, I guess it did something special that way of thinking about it, but I don't know, it's just one of those things sometimes when you've seen films do it, maybe not better, but you've seen it enough times now, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like you
Scream
knew
did it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream did it better.
Mm.
You done?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I agree largely with most of the things that you two said as well. The things that I liked about it was sort of kind of talking about film while being a film itself. So everything they were talking about in terms of people wanting to seek out these darker things is also what people kind of want when you're watching this film. So Angela, is you. It's like you don't want to look, but you can't resist. Like from the opening moments where she comes off that train, it's like this is what the film's going to be. There's something horrible at the center of it, and you're told you don't think you should see it, but you can't help but look. And I like that thing. That is a very human thing, whether it's horror film or whether it's like when you're on a motorway and you know there's a crash on the other side and you pass and you can't help. You know you don't really want to see. Yes, you've got a rubberneck. You have to rubberneck because it's almost like if you don't see what's happened is worse. And I like that they play with that, like you said, Paul, by her having the contrast down, having the volume down, but like that makes it worse almost. And it did because when you finally did see everything, it felt less scary. Less scary. And that's kind of also the thing with the whole film. That was the failing of the whole film. The less you knew, the better this film was. The more you started finding out, the less good it got. So I liked exactly like you, Paul. The minute they started interviewing Bosco, I was like, this is silly, because he was such a corny motherfucker. From the minute that she walked in and saw the camera, that he had the camera, and he gives her the funny look, I'm like, and he starts stalking her. It's like, why, if this is going to be our killer, why is this guy suspicious of her just because she's looking at him? Why would he automatically think, oh, this girl clearly must know that I'm the killer? Why would he stalk her so obsessively? And then I know it was a dream sequence, but it was so uncomfortable for me when she dreamed of him putting a knife to her throat and kissing her. I thought, this has clearly been made by a man, because this is like, women like danger, it turns them on kind of thing. And maybe I could give him credit and say, but he was trying to make a point about how people like danger and violence is something that borders on pornography and borders on the sexual, but it didn't sit very well with me. And I just hated the fact that he was the killer, and I hated the fact that that replacement teacher was also involved in the snuff films, because it's like, well, obviously, I much preferred it when there were some small moments of red herrings getting dropped, where there was a while there where I thought Kemmer was the one. Quite early on, before we met Bosco, I thought, I bet Kemmer is the one who's been making these films. And then late on in the film, they had a chance to do something very clever, and they dropped the ball as far as I'm concerned, which was make his girlfriend, Bosco's girlfriend, the killer. They were almost setting it up for her to have been the one who was making those films. And it's like, that would have been clever, because they would have turned the idea of the male gaze on its head. Very early on in cinema, when people weren't talking as freely about the male gaze, they would have had a choice there to subvert expectations and go, you thought this was a man torturing a woman and you were connecting sexuality to it, but actually it was a woman doing it. So it was a woman taking back the frame, a woman taking back the filmmaking process. But they dropped the ball and they just didn't do it. And at the end, it ended up just being a good film that was dealing with themes of filmmaking and the psychology of horror films to an extent, and why people like them. And at the end, I kind of liked its point, which was that this world is sick and it wants to see that, even if it says it's condemning those things, it wants to see it because the news is like, here's this terrible thing and we got to show it to you. We're going to show it to you. And I like that they're like, fuck it, we lived it, we're not going to see that, and walked out. Yeah. So there was plenty to like, but there was a lot of drop balls for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially in that back half. It's like there was too many red herrings, and then they would like keep like to and fro, and it was like, oh no, it's Bosco. Oh no, it's Chema. Oh no, it's Bosco.
Also, there was too much unnecessary stuff that happened that didn't really lend to anything, and then that's what slowly takes you out of the film, and it's like something weird. Like I remember them getting stuck in that tunnel bit, and they had to she was burning her top, for example, and I'm like, that okay, I get why they went there, but then that went on for so long, it felt, and it's just like the story isn't progressing now. I get it. Let's continue.
Well, see, I think that scene is a good example because it had the potential to, because I did feel tension there. Yeah. I agree. It went on for too long and ended up leading nowhere, which is the frustrating thing. But while you were living through it, I kept thinking, he's going to light that match and you're going to realise that it's Kemmer. You're going to like Kemmer, because she's like, let me hold on to you. And he's the one lighting the matches. And I thought, oh, he's cut the power. But then it just turned out not to be the case. But I don't know if it made you boys feel it, but it made me feel they're going to reveal Kemmer as the guy. It did, but then after a while,
it just wasn't happening. And you're like, okay, it felt like it went on for a good 10 minutes. And it's like,
yeah, I know.
Without progressing the story. And I'm just like, that's what led me to be a bit frustrated with this film. It's like, he pulls that out and he's like, the first half was strong. It was interesting. You're like, okay. And then it just went kind of generic.
I think that was
special.
The thing is that when you find Bosco, and it's like, okay, it's so heavy-handed with this guy's clearly the killer. The fact that he's chasing her down the corridor, it's like you're almost trying to think, okay, how is he going to get out of this? Because I don't want it to be him, because it's too obvious now.
Exactly.
And hence why you're going, oh, come on, let's make it Chema now. Let's make it the girlfriend. Oh, it's the teacher. Didn't really want it to be the teacher, but no. It's like, but you're kind of trying to find your own route to get away from Bosco as much as you can.
Yeah.
And it's only created that itself. And it's like, just don't be so heavy-handed with it. Like I think the moment he was chasing her down the corridors, it was like, there's no way of getting out of this now.
No.
Because it's so obvious that it's him. No normal person is going to chase someone. No. And if it does chase him, it wasn't him, then I'll be saying, why the hell are you chasing him down the corridor?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was... I feel like, for me anyway, there was two sides to the film, and the side that I enjoyed was the bit that was like exploring the idea of being attracted to violence and stuff in film, talking about the things like the digital cuts, the digital zooms, the type of cameras used, why people are attracted to these sort of things. That was interesting. But if that was removed from it and they just were dealing with a sort of whodunit, you'd be massively disappointed, because immediately your first suspect ends up being the one. And it's like, why have you done that? Like, was the director, was Alejandro Amenabar trying to make a point here by going, actually, you don't need to look further than the most obvious person?
It's like there should have just a little bit of ambiguity. It would have worked wonders for this, because at least like you need to be second guessing yourself, but there was no second guessing in this.
No,
you just kind of knew it was Bosco.
But the only thing that was making me second guess it was that, like you said, this is too obvious.
Yeah.
And that's annoying. It can't be like, oh, we're going to make it the most obvious person because no one is going to expect the obvious person.
It's hard. But there's still some very, like, striking stuff that he does in this film. Like, as you said, the whole TV turning down the contrast and just her listening to that sound. Such a great effect. Because you feel it. It's skin crawling. It's horrible. Just listening to that. Just, you don't even have to, like, you don't have to see it. You've just seen all these snuff films of people literally getting shot in the head, and it doesn't even look real or anything. And all you've got to do is turn down the contrast and show a woman screaming, and that works instantly. So
absolutely
effective.
And I think that's what is good in this film, is that it's kind of saying, like, the best films don't need to show it. Like, filmmakers can allude to it, and that's what gets people. I always come back to it, but it is that scene in Reservoir Dogs. If we saw him slicing the ear off, it wouldn't be half as effective as panning away and hearing the cops scream, because your mind fills the gap, and your mind filling the gap is one of the scariest things. It's why I love Michael Myers, because it's that plain face. You don't know what's underneath, and that's what's fucking scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And I also liked that this felt like that sort of nostalgic horror that we wouldn't get now, because it was like The Ring, where the horror comes from the videotape. There must have been something back in those days. Paul, me and you listened to a podcast several months ago called The Movie Vault or something like that. Horror podcast about videotapes containing these horrific things.
Not is that what it's called? That's what's it called? The Videodrome's a fucking thingy film.
I can't
Video
remember
Palace. Video Palace.
Video Palace, yeah. Very good podcast, folks. Horror fans, go and listen to that. But it was kind of like that Ring thing of the tape has this ominous presence to it in and of itself. Yeah. Like the watching of a tape can be dangerous. And that's the thing that's changed now with streaming and with DVDs. Like, just like people say about film, it's always been dangerous because it's flammable. Film is highly flammable, so it's always been explosive. It's always been dangerous. To an extent, the videotape was like a primal version of film also, because it's like, here's some film in your house, you hit play and those reels start moving, you are part of this thing now.
Mm-hmm. And I love the layering up of this kind of this different love for film as well. Like you have Angela, and we go to Chema's house first, and you see like all these like memorabilia of horror films. There's like mannequins hanging from the wall. There's like a mannequin of Pinhead against the wall, and it's also grimy and grotty. And then we go to Angela's house, and there's pictures of Elvis, there's James Dean, and it's all like this very classic look at horror. And it's like, this is the how things have shifted in our love for horror films, and the different kind of thread you can go down or the routes you want to take. Yeah.
And it's just the difference in film lovers. You can love film in different ways. And Adam called him weird, but he's very normal. Lots of film geeks are like that.
Yeah, especially horror people.
Yeah,
particularly horror weird people. The films he had. That was more what I was going for.
Well, so here's, just as an aside here, when I was 96, I was 10, so it wasn't quite the same. But when I was looking, I wasn't looking for, but as a kid, the extreme stuff that I found was on the internet. There was a website which I think is infamous. Everyone pretty much in the dawn of the internet used to go on it, and it was called gore.com. GORE.com, and all it was filled with real videos of people being killed, like soldiers, Mexican cartels, people being locked in half by trains and stuff. And it was just unregulated. It was there on the internet. And I still, to this day, remember one of the worst videos that I ever saw on there. And it's just, you would not even be able to find it now. If you went looking for it, you would not be able to find it. I would never go looking for it, but you just simply would not, because it was such an unregulated Wild West of horrific shit back then. So I feel like, I know that he was kind of getting off on it when he was watching it in the film, but I also think it was kind of like at that time, it was so rare that if you could get it, it was that morbid curiosity, exactly, taken to the nth degree.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying it was, yeah.
And is it better, the other comment is it better to be him who watches it and consumes it by watching it but would never do it, or is it better to be Bosco, who looks like the clean-cut boy you take home to your parents, but actually is torturing women on the side?
Chema.
Exactly.
Adam, there's no true in that. You don't want to be Bosco.
Of course.
Adam's, I'd line this guy.
No, but yeah. It was very well done, and it was that good way, because I feel like, you say, if you watch this film, I came in as her point of view, like, okay, I know about horror films, mainly from talking to you guys and what you guys have said and all that, like, recommended, but you guys, like, know loads more, and you're kind of like him, like, you want to be the teacher saying, look at this one, and it's all you, like, the student, be like, okay, what does this mean, and what does that happen, and you slowly
he was a dickhead, though, particularly at first. He was definitely a dickhead. He was very unlikable. He was being gross a hell of a lot.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I really liked? A shot that I really liked, and sound, is when they were looking at each other in the cafe and they were listening to completely different music.
That was great.
Yes.
And it kept cutting between it.
It was so good because it was like, the way that it's framed is when you're looking at him, you should be hearing the thrash metal, but instead you're hearing that classical music.
Yeah. It's pretty well done.
And that's another thing that goes to show, like, sound, how sounded was distorting what was taking place there.
Just wants a little peek into his world.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
I think that's what's most disappointing about this film, is like, for a film that understood and was doing quite clever things with like tension and its observations on what people want from films like this, it then just like shit the bed with its own reveal.
Yeah, because it's actually, considering it's like
it tries to know to understand them more.
It does the completely opposite of what it's trying to say about film.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
I like the central thing all the way through, which is that she keeps telling herself, I don't like that stuff. How can you look at that stuff? But she herself can't resist.
Yeah.
It's like that I like that as a premise. You know what it felt like? It felt like a Giallo film. It felt like a Dario Argento style film. Obviously not as stylized, but kind of in that zone. Maybe it was just because it was Spanish, but it did feel like it was that
especially the
horror
setup of it. And then it kind of feels like it falls into just like a kind of a Hollywood horror. Sure.
Well, okay, so maybe you could give it credit, right, and say it's intentional, because when that shitty lecturer comes along and is talking to all of them in the auditorium, and he's like, if you as Spanish filmmakers, if you want to keep up with Hollywood, you have to give audiences what they want. You have to just do the mainstream. Just do that. So in a way, that's kind of what the director of this film did with the story. He was like, oh, let's just give him the pretty boy, like the obvious killer, rather than try and do something more clever. Maybe it was like a comment on that. I might be giving him too much credit.
Yeah, it was the American industry strangling everyone else. So give them what they want. Is he saying give them more American stuff? Or is he saying give them the stuff they're not seeing?
Well, see, because he was part of that snuff ring, I guess that is what he was saying. But when he was leading that lecture, he was basically saying to them, don't try and be art house. I'm pretty sure he said something about art house. He said, don't do art house. He's like, if you want to keep up, if you want to topple Hollywood, give audiences what they want, which I think, I guess maybe for those students, they would probably read it as, oh, right, just make mainstream stuff. But maybe that was his way of saying what they want is this sordid shit.
Yeah, defo.
But then I would have liked to have seen that explored then. I would have liked to have seen that professor's psychology explored, because the reality is it wasn't. We don't know why he did it. We don't know why he teamed up with Bosco. Really. It was.
And also, it was pretty predictable as well, because I mean, if you've watched enough film, you know there's going to be breadcrumbs for a reveal at the end. And the reveal was like the professor goes into that archive and there's another teacher in there, and they made a point of saying, oh, you're the second person today who's in here. He's still in here, but we never see him. And he's a teacher. It's clearly a teacher that's in there.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it's like,
that's true.
Read the room.
Can we believe that man, that teacher, really got his breath taken away by the film?
No, I just feel like it was so shocking that he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
I didn't see it as like it's like some kind of cursed tape. I just saw it as he literally realised he's watching something real, and he just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is talking about you saying watching those films online. This is me personally. I know there's this, to an extent, that kind of morbid curiosity. If someone tells me, if someone sends me a video and then there's a thing saying, like on Instagram now, if you get sent video that said you need to consent to watching this video, right? I know it's gonna be someone breaking their leg or stuff like that. I'm just not gonna watch it. I don't need to see it. And I've changed. I never used to be like that. And my persona's changed a little bit. Well, I don't need to see that shit anymore. Yes, I'd rubberneck in a car for an accident, but like if it comes to something like this, it's like seeing you talking about watching a video and you said you saw the worst video ever. I didn't have to see it. My skin's already crawling just thinking about it. And that is pretty much what they're trying to say in this film. You don't need to see these things, or that's how they're playing the editing anyway. You don't need to see it, and it's going to be more effective than actually seeing it at the end of the day. But then, as I said, they shit the bed and they just show it all halfway through the film.
Yeah, they just completely show it all. I think there is something probably about the fact that we've been overexposed to all that stuff from not just horror, but like in the early days of the internet and seeing lots of stuff. It's now at a point where, and given the fucking monstrosities and horrific shit that goes on in the world day to day now, we are so overexposed to it all. We're seeing more than any people ever saw before. That now, why would you want to seek it out? Like, I have no desire to go on. If gore.com popped back up again tomorrow, I would not go on it for love nor money. I have no desire to look at that stuff. But I will, like, if you tell me, see, that's the thing. But if you tell me, oh, I've just found this video of this great white ripping apart this man, it's real close up, I'd be like, that's horrifying. I am going to watch it.
See, do you know when you did that to me the other day? You sent me a great white video and you said, oh my God, it ate a man. And you barely see anything, right?
Yeah.
But even then, I was contemplating, I don't know whether I need to see this.
It depends what the thing is. It depends what the thing is, right? Like, if you told me, like, obviously this is horrific in all walks of life, but if you were like, we're just going to show you a video of a man getting stabbed in the throat 10 times up close, I don't want to see it. I've got no desire to see it. That's horrible. But there is a curiosity and a slight fascination to a shark attack. That's like Mother Nature. A big fear. Yes, Mother Nature, let's see it. But then if you said, here's a video of a lion ripping a man's hand off, I'd be like, no, I don't need to see that. Because lions don't scare me. Even though they would if they was in front of me. But the prospect of a shark, even though they're beautiful creatures and they don't deserve the reputation they have, the prospect of a great white shark attack has this morbid curiosity and fascination, and I would want to see that for my
Play
sins.
into your own fears kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's not, and it's not for titillation. It's just like for Angela in this film. It didn't ever feel like her wanting to see, like at the very beginning when she walks to see the dead body sliced in half. It isn't for titillation and excitement and to go, oh, that's great. It's just something inside her that's like,
it's just
it's
curiosity.
worse if I don't see it. Yes,
because she's touching the teacher's face when he's dead, and she is dreaming about having a knife to her throat. It's like there's clearly something there. There's an interest there, not necessarily saying it's like a sexual curiosity she has, but just like a curiosity.
Yeah. So did you never see the Mexican cartel chainsaw video?
No. Is that the one you saw?
Yeah, that was the worst one that I ever saw.
Does it beat the Scarface scene then?
It is, but that's what it is. It is that, but up close. And these two guys that had betrayed the cartel, and the chainsaw is there, and it's just no cuts, no fuzzy video, just static on these two guys as it happens, and it's just horrendous.
Fuck, man,
and that's like, that's the thing, is like, if I just heard the sound, it would have been bad, but seeing it was actually worse. Seeing it was worse. I wish I hadn't seen it.
I always remember when I was it was the Pain Olympics. I remember that thing being a thing, man.
What's the Pain Olympics?
People did shit, and it was just like a whole website thing, and it was like, who won the Pain Olympics? And it was like people doing shit to themselves. And I remember like someone put a glass bottle up their arse and then like cracked it, and then were picking out all the bits. It's just like all that kind of horrible shit.
One man, one jar.
Yeah? Is that what it was called?
One man, one jar. I think so.
Oh god! And I remember like a lady putting like a fish hook through her, and then like hung herself up. It was just like, nah.
That's a strong piece of fishing wire.
Jesus. I mean, yeah. See, like, I don't want to see any of those things.
No, you
I've
don't.
seen the jar one, unfortunately. But there are things that we would hear, and we'd be like, I am going to click play on that, and I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is
It's
in us as
morbid
human
curiosity.
beings.
But I feel like the older I've got, the less it's like. Even the other day, I was like flicking through Twitter, and there was a video of a guy breaking his leg in like the UFC, and I was like, nah, I can't even watch that. And it's just like,
Oh, but I tell you what, those things don't faze me. Like when a
It just makes
footballer
me
breaks their
wince.
leg, I immediately go seeking out that I want to see that leg break. I want to see it.
it's just like, no, like,
If
even
people
now
ain't
it's just like,
dying, I don't mind. Like if it's an accident like that, I don't mind because it's like that. But when there's malicious intent by watching it, it makes me feel bad. In fact, you know what? That's probably why I don't feel a ways about seeing a shark rip apart a man, because there's no malicious intent. If you showed me a man with a machete chopping up a man, I don't want to see that because that's someone doing evil. It's
very interesting.
It's an interesting thing. And I think that's the interesting thing in this film is that these guys, and they should have explored it more, Bosco and that professor basically had evolved that concept into this is what people want to see, so let's make it.
Yeah.
Billy and Stu were better.
The real life version of seeing someone get killed in a horror film.
Yeah.
Going beyond the fascination in horror films to actual real life horror.
Yeah. It's the fascination of looking, I think, is more the thing. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's the fascination of being told. It's like the red button thing as well. Don't push it, and it's right there. Don't look behind that curtain. Well, what's behind it? Just don't look. You want to look.
You need to look.
We're curious beasts. Yeah. And if you don't, like, imagine being that person who walks in a room and there's a curtain and they're like, whatever you do, don't look behind that curtain. Whatever you do, don't open that door. And whatever you do, don't press that red button. And then you're just in that room.
How long do you press it?
How long do you do one of those things? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're the kind of person who can go, okay, then, man, you must live a boring life. Just do what you're told all the time. Yeah, there's nothing there. I don't want to know. These are the kinds of people who still live in the bloody North Midlands and whatnot. So they're like, I don't care if there's a better world out there. I'm happy in my town with my pie and my pint, thanks. Sorry to any Midlands listeners. I just realised we may have some. Apologies.
He's very sorry, but he means every word.
Kindly stay there and leave London for the rest of us.
Well, clearly, this film has raised some interesting ideas, though. Its subject
I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a good film. I enjoyed it overall, and I was glad to see it. It was very different. I do have to give it that. It was different, even though it did some obvious stuff. It was clever. How do we feel about that end scene with the news broadcasting it and them leaving the hospital? What do you think about it?
Well, it's great. It's just the encapsulation of exactly what they're trying to say for the whole film. It's what they're saying at the beginning of the film. It's like you can't help but want to see or want to consume this kind of the horrors of the world. It's like Zoe at the moment. She's petrified of the world going to war and stuff like that, whatever. And she can't help but look. She's constantly looking. I'm like, stop looking at these stupid bullshit news articles from whatever source you're getting it from and just get on with your life. Why are you scaring yourself for this stupid reason?
But see,
it's just that. Can't help it.
Well, that's interesting because that probably comes down to the same sort of psychological issue. The same psychological thing that people are attracted to, or not even attracted, but people can't help but think about the things that scare them and kind of like to walk up to that line. Like if Zoe is scared of World War III, then it's natural that at times she's going to go, let me just read this article, because not because they're glad that it tickles this area, but it's like, I can't not.
Well,
it's the same. You know what it is? It's the same as during COVID. I would never listen to the news more than I did then because I constantly want to be updated with what's happening, the numbers. Is it progressing in any way? And it's because you're in the heat of like this horror of what's happening in the world that you feel like you can't get away from it. You need to like consume it and understand it.
Yeah. But some people prefer not to look at anything about it at all because that is their way of dealing with something that scares me. So I can't read about it. It's too horrible. But for some, it's like if someone's going in for an operation, a significant operation. Some people to deal with it would read up everything about how it happens, what are other people's experiences, whatnot, and get comfort from it, because it's like, okay, now I understand. Whereas others would be like, no, I can't look at any of that.
It's like a therapy.
Yeah.
To get through it.
Yeah. And I think for me, overall in life, for things, because I always, like, Jenny, when we first met, Jenny was always like, doesn't it depress you, the world? Because, like, at that time I was really into any and everything. And she was like, doesn't it depress you to think of the world that way? And I was like, no, it's more depressing if I didn't realise the world is this way, if I didn't look into these things, because it would be complete ignorance.
Are you talking about like during your conspiracy times?
But not only that, but like going into things like Palestine back in the day, it's like really early days. It's like, oh, but yeah, there's terrible things happening all over the place, and if you just linger on those things, then it's very depressing. She didn't say that, but that's a version of what I'm trying to say. Is that it can be, if you spend your time seeking these things out, you'd be like Kemmer. People look at you like, oh, you're weird. Is that all you're good for? And I guess in a way that is the criticism of someone like Kemmer, is like that was all he was really into. But I think it's healthy to have a bit of an interest in some darker subjects with a view. Like,
sure.
Case in point, for example, at the moment I'm reading Columbine, a book about the Columbine shootings and what happened. And even though it's a horrible thing, it's kind of fascinating because it's enlightening about the setting around, everything that was going on around, some of the conditions that may have created it, and the fact that these killers, these kids were not like boogeymen. They were fucking kids that just fucking did this, and nobody really knows why they did it.
It's like trying to get a peek into the headspace kind of thing.
Yeah.
How these things happen, how it gets to this point.
Fascinating. Like with many films on this podcast, the discussion is sometimes more fascinating than the film.
Absolutely. It's a good film, though.
It is a good film.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. Do you want to rate it?
Yeah. Nah, you should leave it there.
I'm giving it a straight up 7. I thought it was a good film. No more, no less. It could have been an 8 if it actually like carried on the way it was going in those opening scenes. But it didn't stick to that. But yeah, 7.
I'm giving it a 7 as well.
Yeah, I'm giving it 7 as well. Same as Paul, I would have given it an 8 if it carried on its trend, and then it fucked it. But a steady 7. I mean, we can't really complain. That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right then, boys. Well, that's an average of 7. And the first film it competes with is Kids Return. Kids Return is better for my money.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go.
There we go. Placed.
Not an easy one.
Kids Return is 6, and I can't remember now, but I don't think I did.
So that means it is better than Glass, but worse than Kids Return?
Well, it's not, because Adam gives his 6, Kids Return.
Oh, Adam, man, how do you forget what you give?
I don't know. I'm just going off a gut instinct, and I feel like
what's better for you though?
Okay. Let's go Kids Return. We'll stick with that because I'm thinking of the bits I really liked about it, but as a package, it just didn't deliver. Where Kids Return was a pretty cool concept. I liked it.
No, it was Takeshi Kitano.
I feel like you can still rate a film higher even if you don't give it a high rating.
That does not mathematically make sense.
You're twisted, mate. Yeah.
All about gut feeling rather than numbers.
Well, there we go. Thesis.
Thesis.
It was a pellicula.
Bottom of the 7s, just above Glass on a 6.8.
Yeah. And above Kids Return is another pellicula, The Orphanage. That was a pellicula.
Very good.
Well, there we go. Thank you. So what happens now? Does Adam give his film?
Yes.
Adam, you give your film now.
Are you ready for it?
I hope so.
Tease it. This is actually a film I've been wanting to watch for ages, and I've never had an excuse to watch it, so now I've got an excuse to watch it. It is from 1996, obviously, and it is Stanley Tucci's one of only films Stanley Tucci has directed. Tucci, whatever you want to call it.
Tucci, what is he, a toucan?
And it's called Big Night.
Excellent. I've wanted to see that. I wanted to see that for a long time.
There's about these two brothers who open up a restaurant.
That sounds
excellent. Where can it be seen?
I think we're going to have to rent it somewhere. I don't know exactly
On
where.
Apple TV.
I think I looked up and I think it was on YouTube, so it's one of those ones that's kind of...
Oh,
everywhere.
mate, it is. Oh, yeah, you can rent it on Amazon as well, thank God.
Yeah, you can rent it on YouTube and stuff, so it's an easier one to rent.
Oh, that's good.
Stanley Tucci. Okay.
The Tooch.
Excellent. I have wanted to see this one, so I'm very happy to see it.
Oh, wicked. Excited for that. Lovely.
Good.
Well, shall we move on to our patrons have to say this week?
Yes.
No.
Okay, our patrons, they tell us what they've been watching, the best and the worst, and we chat about them and say whether we agree with them or not, basically. First, we've got Luke Human, and he says, I would like to preface this by saying this is not a personal attack on Ben. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, it's going to be
this?
one then.
The good 2023's Asteroid City. Meta enough to provide a reason for the ultra-fake realism and triple-layer narrative, Asteroid City isn't as subtle in its themes. The search to find meaning, their ability and desire to influence others, that reality is only as real as we understand it to be. All that aside, Asteroid City itself is rendered in mid-century Americana beauty with the vivid style of 50s advertising. Characters are as varied and eccentric as expected, and plot is both convoluted and extremely shallow. Dialogue is delivered at an almost incomprehensible pace. In short, I had a grin on my face for the majority of the runtime. I loved it. 9 out of 10. That sounds like a bad review.
I was going to watch it
yeah.
yesterday, and I just thought, why the fuck am I watching more Wes Anderson films?
Yeah, why
I
do it
can't
to
be bothered.
yourself?
And I watched Mission Impossible instead.
Oh, God. Out the frying pan into the fire.
For Adam, especially.
Is that the thing that I was meant to be hurt about?
No, the next one is. But I think it's an encapsulation because he knows you don't like Wes Anderson.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You want the second one?
Yes.
The Bad. 1996's Dunstan Checks In.
Oh,
Watching
hey,
this with my
come on
kids
now.
showed me how much comedy has changed since the 90s. I was able to laugh at aspects of this, but they did not find it funny, only mildly interesting. There's certainly some skill in the ape's performance. Clearly credit goes to the trainer, but I couldn't help but wonder what's going on in Sammy's head and whether he was as perplexed by proceedings as I was. Totally standard family slapstick with turns from Everett, Alexander, Shaddockhurst. Is that his name? Shaddockhurst? Shaddockhurst and Rubens, making it worthwhile. Also, no one likes a pedant, but every time they refer to Dunstan as a monkey, I cringed. 5 out of 10.
I mean, it's a kids' film from the 90s, which was great. And I love it.
I don't remember it that much. I've definitely seen it, but...
It's great fun. I think, 100% you just had to be there. You had to be a kid at the time for it to still feel good. It's like Kangaroo Jack.
You should have picked that. That film was awful. I rewatched it. It was a fucking awful film.
What was Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah, but you have to be there, so...
Yeah. But I mean, Dunstan Checks In is not awful. I think it's good and sweet and whatnot. I had it on VHS growing up. I used to play it all the time.
Did you watch it with the contrast down?
I had to. It was too. Sometimes I had to black screen it as well.
That monkey screaming.
So he doesn't like a pedant. It's not a monkey. It's an ape.
I know. I'm calling it monkey on purpose.
Rupert Everett, sorry, is very funny in it.
Oh, that's cool.
The Contrarian Boys just did it, and
hated it.
They were both largely underwhelmed.
Yeah,
you should have picked it on here, Ben.
Should have 96.
Should have. Last time I watched it, I was stoned, and it was one of those ones where I made the tea, and the plan was to watch. I don't know why. I don't even like these sorts of films, but was to watch Sausage Party stoned.
Oh yeah,
and the tea took too long to kick in, so it never kicked in watching Sausage Party, and I just thought Sausage Party was crap. And then I thought, do you know what, let me just stick Dunstan Checks In, and as soon as I put on Dunstan Checks In, it kicked in, and it was like, this is so funny. An ape running around a hotel for 2 hours while you're stoned, come on, man. Or 90 minutes. That is
Perfect.
a joy. That is a joy.
Lovely stuff.
Well, Luke, I'll let you off.
Yes.
All right, and next we got Sean Panda, who says, hello, captains of film Bustry. I hope that the best things have all happened to each and every one of you this past week or so. Thank you, sir. I've been watching a lot of David Lynch for a thing I'm doing, but I'm going to go with something non-Lynchian for my best of the week. Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park.
Never heard of it.
No? What's this? Every frame of that movie cuts right to my childhood soul, and I love it. Granted, some of the CGI is dated in 4K, but that T-Rex still holds up for me. Forever a 10 out of 10. A movie with a T-Rex in it that he gives a 10 out of 10. I've never heard of this.
It sounds like it'd be really good.
Spielberg. Never heard of Spielberg. Well, I'm going to add it to the watch list.
I think it's pronounced Spielberg.
Oh, right.
That's probably why you haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Stefan Spielberg.
Right. Silly joke.
Move on.
And I don't really have a worst, except for maybe David Lynch's 1984's Dune. I hate to say it because I love the characters, sets and effects. However, it is a hot mess, but a hot mess I still find a bit of charm in. 6 out of 10. Lots of love, your friendly neighbourhood panda man. On that David Lynch Dune, I got to say that Lynch hates it and it's always looked down its nose, but it is still a little curiosity of a film that has some things going for it. It's not a great film, but it does have some things going for it. I like Lynch's version of it in a weird way. I kind of like it. It doesn't hold a candle to the
I
new
think
ones.
once I've watched all these new ones, I'll watch that one, but I don't want to just... Or does Lynch's one finish where this one just finished?
This one, the new one, finishes after where Lynch's one finished.
Okay.
But there's a couple of good things in it. I can't even remember what the creature is, but very early on in the film, they wheel this big glass case into a room, and then this creature appears in the glass case. And even then, like 1984, I'm like, watching it now, I'm like, this is fucking Twin Peaks The Return. He's planting seeds that he would reveal in Twin Peaks The Return later.
Anything to do with Twin Peaks, you're there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Of course. I just remember it being very overwhelming. Like there was so much like material that needed to be covered, but I just couldn't understand it because there was obviously so much to pack into one film.
The funny thing is like how their shields in David Lynch's Dune was just like oblongs, rectangles, computer graphics that hovered around the body. But at the time, that would have been considered groundbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
David Lynch still uses computer effects like that. That's what I like. Even in Twin Peaks: The Return, he uses like just cheap computer effects for certain things, and it kind of works.
Well done, David. Right, thanks, Sean. Wonderful stuff. If you want to become a patron and send us your thoughts on films you've been watching, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can become a patron just like the likes of Luke Bennett.
You can also join Francis Ciberini.
You can also join Stephen Mark from Movie Drone.
You can join Brent from Home Video Hustle.
You can join someone people just heard from. You can join Luke Human.
You can join Sean Panda Nicholson.
You can join Nerd Revert.
You can join Julio.
You can join Jamie Russell.
Or you can join Katie and Oti. We love you all. Thank you all for subscribing to the Patreon.
Thank you.
Right, everyone. We've got to get out of here, I think. That's the end of the episode.
I guess we'll give them one more episode, and then we'll disappear for a few weeks.
Yeah, I'd say so. See what
We're going to watch The Big Night, Baby.
The Big Night Baby with Stanley Tucci, Mr.
Tucci.
Tooch. Or
Stanley
Tucci. Tucan.
You want to hear my impression of Stanley Tucci?
Yeah,
Go for it.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm recording.
I know, but that's what he says at the beginning of all his videos. So I have a plate of pasta here. I cooked it up last night. Some peas, shallots, then a bit of gravy. I'm just going to put this on the heat. About 30 seconds, 40 seconds, just to brown it. This isn't going very well. Anyway, that was a Stanley Tucci impression.
Maybe you can perfect it for next week.
I have no context of what you're doing. I'm guessing it's an Instagram video or something.
This is what he does all the time now. His wife records him, and he's cooking. He's always reheating stuff.
Reheating. This is a shepherd's pie I made last night.
It's always pasta, though. Anyway, hopefully he's cooking more than pasta. Hopefully he's cooking in the big night.
Hope this film's cooking. We'll see. Bye, everyone.
Bye.